Some community members came out to this week's Shelby County Commission meeting in protest of plans to build a new jail in the New Chicago community. While county commissioners seem to agree a new jail is needed in the community, they still have yet to decide on its future location. Here to talk more about the debate and other issues on the commission's agenda these days, County Commissioner Miska Clay Bibbs. Commissioner, always glad to have you back at 3 at 3. How have you been doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Alex. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Let's start with where things stand with this new proposed jail. It seems like we're kind of leaning away from the New Chicago community. Are we?
I mean, I think the reality of it is we heard citizens. Citizens came out, I think, probably for 2 meetings back to back, really championing the fact that they want a better investment in the community. And at this point where we are, because I want people to understand, because it's been a lot of conversation, but no one's really clear on the direction. So our new chairwoman, Shantae Ant, is doing an ad hoc committee.
Okay.
And within that ad hoc committee, we're going to talk about all of the things it means to build a new jail, cost, location, and as well create an RFP process. I don't think that people are really aware of the fact that we've heard 2 proposals. And within that, one group came to us and said, hey, we're able to build it. We're able to build it where you want us to build it.
Okay.
And the costs were not the same as the second proposal, where the second proposal came in and said outright it needs to be in New Chicago, pay for a study, and then we'll kind of see what we need to do next. Well, you know, we have to make the best decision that's what's great for community as well as what's best for taxpayers.
So are we talking about maybe the penal farm area or where the Shelby County Correctional Center is these days? Some people say it makes sense. Why not have it there?
It's already there. So I think for me it's easier to do it where it's already located because you already have the penal farm system and the correction system happening. But those are the things that we're going to talk about within that RFP. Those are the questions that we're going to have answered, as well as making sure we have the right people. I was going to say person, but right people who are involved in the actual project, because people who understand what it means to build in a cost-effective way, but at the same time build where it really should be located, where we won't disrupt community.
I know you have heard many times Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner saying a new jail, wherever it's going to be built, is desperately needed. Do you agree with that? Because I know there's another new study out that says maybe Memphis and Shelby County, we really don't need a new jail. What do you say to that argument?
I mean, I know we need a new jail. I mean, there's no question that things are falling apart, but I think that new studies also really push more around the practices that happen in the jail. So I think we can be able to talk about both things at the same time. We've had several presentations around the practices that happen in the jail system. So whoever's coming in as Sheriff New, I think that's one of the things that citizens should be asking them questions around. What are their practices? How do they really see social justice?
When it comes to those practices, what would you like to see? What can we do right here and now, you think?
I mean, I think right here and now, when you look at from the budget aspect, is making sure they're using their dollars in the best ways. I mean, they do come before us. We've given money around certain repairs, and I think, but at the same time, really making sure that if you're paying money in overtime, is that the best way to spend the money? Like all of those things, and not trying to go deep into their budget aspect, but I'm thinking about some of these former budget chair days.
It makes sense. Yes, it does.
From that perspective, but I think it's an opportunity to dig deeper on both sides.
Yeah. I do want to ask you about the status of the Office of Reentry. We know DeAndre Brown recently arrested, who headed that agency for a number of years now, appointed, I think, back in 2021 by Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris. What are your thoughts there when it comes to the perception of that office?
It's unfortunate that it happened. I think Mayor Harris has the opportunity now to figure out if he's going to reappoint in that role and what he wants to do with that office. On the commission side, we just ratify or talk deeper around what we're going to do with the work, so he has the autonomy to bring us an appointee and re-ratify it that way. But I think it's just an unfortunate situation. I know that he is no longer serving in that role, so now we have an opportunity to fill it if the mayor chooses to move forward in that way.
And from your standpoint, how important, especially from the taxpayer's perspective, is accountability for any position like that?
Accountability is important all the way around. I think this is a reminder around making sure that we always have updated policies, updated guidelines, you know, to make sure that we're following within those guidelines.
Talk to us also about term limits. Memphis Shelby County School Board members, we have heard a lot about that debate recently, but what about putting the elections all together, all aligned in 1 year. I know it was originally proposed, maybe do it for next year, 2026, or push it back to 2030. Where do we stand with that?
Great question. I think there's another thing that people need more clarity on. The reality of our last commission meeting, we voted for 2026 to begin term limits for all school board members.
Okay.
So that part is moving through. What we're having to do now is really think about what the alignment looks like. If we're going to say, hey, everyone's going to run on in 26, or if we're going to say keep them staggered, and then maybe the conversation should be keep them staggered, but those who are currently in a staggered term, that counts as their first term of the two. Like those are the questions in which hopefully we may talk about again on Monday. We did bring it up in committee on Wednesday. However, there was no real paper. There was no conversation in the sense of where it be able to move from.
Does that avoid maybe some chaos? I mean, it's so much change on the school board at one time, perhaps?
I honestly, when you look at school boards across the state of Tennessee and really across the nation, most have staggered terms. And the reason why school board has staggered terms is because continuity, knowledge, understanding of like someone who knows the history of the district, because things change almost literally yearly when it comes to the work. So you do need someone who understands how to respond to that without starting from scratch every single time. It's different when on the commission or maybe the city council because we deal with long-term issues. When you're dealing with students, it literally is an everyday occurrence of what you're talking about.
One last thing here. I know you have a couple of town hall meetings planned, and you want the community to be a part of it, as they should be.
Absolutely. So our first town meeting is coming up next Wednesday at Greater Community Temple, Church of God in Christ on Winchester. And then, you know, I've been in these series of town hall meetings.
Yes, you have.
Every time I come, I'm talking about a new town hall meeting. So then we have on the following Wednesday, we will be at Greater Harvest, Church of God in Christ as well. That's on the other side of Winchester.
And the community invited.
Absolutely. Come on out. We're talking about really great topics.
All right, Commissioner, as always, glad to have you back here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you again soon.
Absolutely.
Anytime. A short break. We'll be right back.